Today we're going to work on Excel Chapter 1. When we go into Excel, we actually have two areas. We have Student Resources that has the textbook, videos, and PowerPoints to help us, and then we have Assignments. When we click into Assignments each week, we have 3 assignments: a reading quiz, which I suggest you do first, simulated activity, and grader projects. Excel Chapter 1 grader project is what we're going to focus on today. It's worth 100 gradebook points, and you have 3 attempts. Here we go. We click Start, and it shows us here where we download our materials. We download our materials, we complete the project, and then we come back here, upload our materials by browsing for a file, and then attaching it, and then we submit it for grading. Let's download our materials and get started. You can load all files in a zip file, or you can save each file individually. This first file here is an instruction sheet, and this second file here is the Excel worksheet that you'll work on. I suggest you save them all to a folder. Let's get started. All right. Here we are with our instructions, and the first thing it says is Start Excel and open the document named E01 Grader. And here it is, E01 Grader. See how it has student in your name right here for your file? I want you to go ahead and go File, Save As to your folder that you save everything into, and I'd like you to put your last name in place of student. All right? So the file that said student on it will be your raw file. If you make too many challenges, you can always go back to the student file and start over again. Now we've saved. And we have our file all named with our last name. Our next instructions are to copy the range A5 to G5. Let's start with that. So A5 is this cell right here to G5. Going to highlight it first. Control C to copy that area. And then what does it tell us? Paste the data below the Big Data Analytics role for the pasted data. Okay, we're going to do that first. So paste the data below Big Data Analytics row, which is right here. We're going to go ahead and move this up a little bit and make ourselves just a little bit bigger so we can see it. So we want to go right here and copy again. So I'll go click in cell A9 and go Control V, which pastes my cells, and change the start date. We have an issue. Right now, we have dates we can't read. So if we click between column B and column C twice, it will make an automatic spacing so we can read what's in those cells. Now we do the same thing between column C and D. And let's go ahead and save, because you know what? We need that to be able to read it. And now it says change the start date to June 25, 2018. I'm going to highlight that. And my start date is right here. And the end date is going to be June 29th, 2018. I'm assuming it's for that first cell. All right. Oh, that did not paste very well. Let's try that again. And here we want to have June 29th, 2018. We can fix that. All right. Change the number of corporate attendees to 10. Number of corporate attendees. I'm going to go ahead and double click between my columns so I can see them all. And the corporate attendees are 10. And the number of educational attendees to 10. And that's the end of step 2. I would save. Now let's see what we're supposed to do for step 3. Step 3, merge and center F3 to G3. So we've got F3 right here to G3 right here. All right, so we're going to come up here to alignment and hit merge and center. And then merge and center H3 to IJ3 and merge and center. And we're going to save, and that's step 3. Step 4, apply bold and green font color to the range F3. So we've got F3 right here to J3, F3 to J3, and we're going to bold and green. All right, and now we're going to save again, and that's the end of step 4. Step 5, apply the range A4 to J4. So for A4 to J4, right there, you're going to highlight that and apply the good cell style. All right, so we're going to come over here to cell styles and find the good cell style. We've got good, bad, and neutral. And then we want to wrap our text. So then we'll go over to the font dialog box and we'll come into font and we'll go to alignment and wrap text and center horizontally. So we'll go to horizontal and click center and click OK. And that's the end of step 5. I like to save between the steps. Let's see what step 6 says. In step 6, insert a column to the right of the end date column. Okay, so here's our end date. So we want to click on column C. Then I right click, insert, and I did it backwards. I apologize. We're going to click on column D and then right click and hit insert, and there's our column. Okay, insert a column to the right of end date column and type number of days. So I'm going to go number of days in cell D4, and I'm going to save. That's the end of step 6. Step 7, in cell D5, which is right here, I'm going to kind of highlight that yellow so you can see where we're at. Calculate the number of days for the first workshop and add 1 to the result to include the total number of days. So we're going to put a parentheses, which is Shift 9, and we're going to figure out how many days are between the start date and the end date. And to do that, we click cell C5. Well, I'm sorry. No, we don't. We're going to go back and click equal and then a parentheses and click cell C5 for the end date. And then we want to subtract the start date, put another parentheses and add a plus. And we have our formula for calculating the number of days for the first workshop. And we added 1 to the result to include the total number of days, including the start and end date. And now we're going to hit enter. And once we do that, we can go ahead and copy the formula all the way down. But we have a mistake. What did we do? We need to make sure that this column D that we just added is formatted for date. So we're going to come over here and make sure we've clicked short date, which is the proper So the challenge we're having is actually we're asking for number of dates and we did a formula and it's giving us a date. So again, we need to highlight this column D5 to D12 and we need to come up here in our numbers panel on the home tab and click number because what we're actually looking for is a number without decimals. So we'll get rid of those decimals and we need to center that. Okay, so we didn't really need to have a column quite so wide. And now we have our numbers of days. But here is why we need to add the +1. The +1 to the formula will make us not have a negative set of days. So let's go back up here into our formula where we made C5 minus B5, remember? But this time, let's add the +1 and hit enter. And then we're going to take that formula, we're going to grab our autofill handle in the right-hand corner of the formula, hold our mouse down and pull down. It will recopy the formula and get us all set. And we still have negative days. I think we got to fix something with our formula here because we did June 25th to June 29th, and this should have been 2 days. And here we have a July to a June. So we've got something wrong with our days for system analytics and big analytics. Let's save and let's check our information. I see our challenge. We were only supposed to copy the formula from D6 to D9, probably because our data below doesn't work. So we're going to go back up here and at D10 to D12, we're going to come over here to editing and we're going to clear all our formatting because we don't want that in there. So we're going to save and that will take us through step 7. Okay, in step 8, it asks us to apply number formatting with 0 decimals. We actually did that previously, but I wanted to go over it one more time. We're going to highlight cell D5 to cell D9, and we're going to come up here to number formatting, and you'll look, the blue arrow actually decreases to the right, decreases your decimals, and the blue arrow to the left increases your decimals. So you just want to click decrease decimals till we have none because we're talking about whole days. Step number 9 tells us that we need to increase the indent 3 times for the range. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take off our yellow here because this is where we were working, but we're not working there anymore. Increase the indent 3 times for range D5. So D5 to D9. Oh, and you know what I did? I centered us, and we actually weren't supposed to do that. So we're going to take us back to the left side of the table, and we're here in alignment, and we're going to increase the indent 3 times. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, which is close to centering. I would have picked right here in alignment, but the instructions ask us to do that. All right, so we're going to save and go to step 10. Delete the row containing the advertisement project management workshop, which is this one right here. We're going to click on row 6. Notice how I didn't click in cell A1. I clicked on row 6. And you're going to cancel this workshop because there was only one person registered for it, the education person. So we're going to click on that cell. We're going to right click and we're just going to hit delete and it's all gone. And we save again. And that's through step 10. And now we're going to go to step 11. Step 11 says in cell I5, which is right here. Okay, and we'll go ahead and give you a little bit of yellow so you can see where that's at. Calculate the gross corporate revenue for the first workshop by multiplying the cost per attendee. So the cost per attendee right here times the number of corporate attendees. So that would be 22. Let's try that. So anytime we start a formula, we go equal and we go the cost of attendees and we multiply it. I'm going to go Shift X and we're going to go time the number of attendees. and it didn't like that multiplication, so we're going to try this again. We're going to go equals the cost of attendees, and I'm going to go Shift 8 for my multiplication symbol times the number of corporate attendees, and we're going to go enter, and it gave us $43,670. And it says copy this formula I6 to I8. So we're only going to go down to here. All right. And by grabbing that autofill, it'll just put that formula for you all the way down. And that's the end of step 11. Step 12, in cell J5, which is right here, and we're going to make, we're going to make that one light blue so you can follow along. Okay, and so J5, calculate the gross educational revenue by subtracting the educational discount rate, which is 10% right here, from 1. Okay, so we're going to go equals 1 minus the educational discount rate, and then we're going to multiply that result, so that would be Shift 8, by the cost per attendee. For the educational cost per attendee is $1,985 times that 10%, and then multiply it by, so Shift 8 again, the number of educational attendees, which is only 2. All right, and then we'll hit enter. And I think we had something wrong. We probably forgot order of operations. So we need to have this formula with parentheses around it. Because we want to do our subtraction first. And let's see how that went. Looks like we got that formula right the second time. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to ask us to copy the formula down to the range of G6 to G8, just like we did with corporate. And we're going to let go, and there we go. We're going to save because we just finished step 12, and then we're going to go down to step 13. Step 13 says in cell K5, which is over here, and we're going to make this one green. We're working on a total over here, so let's make sure we have a green that we can see. All right. Add the corporate gross revenue, which is our $43,670, and the educational gross revenue, $3,573, and copy the formula all the way down. We always start a formula with equals, and then we're going to hit cell I5, and you can see what we've done up here in our formula bar. We're going to go Shift and plus, and then we're going to add it to the educational value, which is cell J5, and we're going to hit enter. We've got a total of 47,000. We're going to take our mouse and grab that autofill handle and pull it down. And that's the end of step 13. And now we're going to see what they've got for us in step 14. Format the range. Format the range F5 to F8 with percent style. So right now we've got 0.1, which is our decimal equivalent, but we want to be able to multiply that by times 100 and get our percentage. We can have Excel do that for us by being on the Home tab, coming over here to the Numbers panel. We can click percent. If you don't see that, you can use your drop down box. If you don't have that, you can click percentage right there. So either way will work, and there we have a percentage represented. We're going to go ahead and go save and go to step 15. Format the ranges E5 to E8. So I've got E5 to E8 and I5 to K8 with a counting number format with 0 decimal places. So we're going to start at one column at a time. I'm going to go E5 to E8. I went too far again. E5 to E8. And then I'm going to come up here to my number panel, which is on the Home tab, and I'm going to click the whole pull down and go to accounting. When we have accounting, we have dollar signs and 2 decimals, and then we have a money format. Then we're going to go to I5 to K8, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come to our number panel and click the pull down menu and hit the accounting format. And we have 0 decimal places. Now that I didn't do, so we're going to get rid of our decimal places. We're going to decrease them till we have no decimal places, and we're going to come back over here to cells E5 to E8 and do the same thing and get rid of our decimal places. There we have no decimal places, and we finished step 15. And now we're going to go down to step 16, and it says change the width of the column of F, G, and H to 9. So right now I'm going to click column F. I click up here in the gray, and I'm going to right click, and it gives me a column width right here. I'm going to click column width, and I'm going to change 15 to 9 and say OK. I'm going to do the same thing with column G. I click the gray column up at the top. I click column width, and I type 9 and OK. And then I'm going to do the same thing for H. I'm going to right click, column width, and 9 and OK. Now we've finished step 16. We're saving again because we do that lots. And we're going down to step 17. Apply outside borders to the range G5 to H5. So we've got G5 right here, and we have H8 right here. So we've gone all the way down there, and it says outside borders to the range. All right, so we're going to apply outside borders. Borders is over here in the font panel. You click the little thing that looks like boxes, and it wanted outside borders. We have thick outside borders, but we also have just outside borders. And then it also wants us to do it for I5 to KH, which is right here. And we added all those colors. That was not part of the instructions. We just did that so you could see where they go. We're going to put outside borders, but we're going to go ahead and get rid of those colors so you know what it's supposed to look like. And we're going to save. And then we're going to go down to step 18. Select landscape orientation. So I'm going to save. I'm going to go to the 4th tab, which is page layout. I'm going to go to orientation, and I'm going to pick landscape. So we had our paper facing up and down, and now we're turning it sideways. You can't see it till we print. And then we're going to set a 1.5 inch top margin and center the workshop horizontally on the page. So we're going to get a margin at the top of 1.5. I'm going to click margins under the page layout and custom margins because it's just asking us to do the top. And here's your top and margins. Please make sure you're on the margins tab and go to 1.5 right there, 1.5. And then it asks us to make sure to take the worksheet and center it horizontally on the page. We still do that under margins. We click horizontally on the page. We click OK. And then we go down to step 20. Change the scaling to 90%. So we don't want it at 100%. We want it at 90%. And if you'll look right here, we're still on page layout, okay? And I'm sorry, we're still on page layout, so we're going to come right over here. We want to pin our toolbar back on here, so if your toolbar disappears on you right over here, you can click home, and the toolbar will come back down with a pin, and you go pin the ribbon. That way you can still see what you're working on. We're on page layout, and we want to make our scale to 90%, so you can just type down to 90 on the arrows. And that is step 20. Step 21, insert a footer saying that this is the exploring series on the left side, the sheet name code in the center, and the file name code on the right. I like to go, people do this different ways, and remember, there's always different ways to do things. I go back into margins again. I go to custom margins, and there's my pop-up bar. I pick header and footer. I want a custom footer with 3 parts. There's my 3 parts. I'm going to type in the Exploring series. I'm going to hit my tab button, and it says the sheet name code. And if you kind of just hover over here, you can see which one is which. Okay, it kind of gives you like a float. And the sheet name code is right here, file name. Sheet name, I'm sorry. There's the sheet name code. All right. And then we're going to hit tab again. And it says the file name code on the right side. And so here's your little file. And there's a file path. And the file name looks like a little miniature Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to click that and say OK. And then OK. And then save. And that's step 21. Step 22, save the workbook, close the workbook, and exit Excel. So we're going to save, and I want to walk you through this first time of inserting it into my IT lab. Okay, we're going back into my IT lab. We've clicked on Excel Chapter 1. Under Excel Chapter 1, we click on Assignments. And in Assignments, we want to go back into Grader Project. Now, we go back into the Grader Project. We've already downloaded it, so we don't need to do that again. But what we do need to do is go back inside, and I would suggest having already closed it and reopen it because it will time out on you. We've already downloaded, we've followed the instructions, and now we need to upload the file project in preparation for grading. We choose File, and that allows us to browse our computer. I save mine under a folder for our class, and maybe you do too. And I put it under Excel Chapter 1. And here's my last name on my E01 grader. I'm going to double click that file, and it says the file's been selected. Please note there's another step. You need to upload that file. Once it's done and it says it has 100%, you're not quite done yet. Now you need to submit it for grading. It will say, kudos, your file has been submitted for grading, and you can close the assignment and go back and see where it is. Let's see what mistakes we made. So we're going to close our assignment, and we come back here, and it says you got an A, you had 1 attempt, and you passed. If we want to see what we got on that grader project, then we can come over here to the little arrow to the right of the assignment. We can view our grade, which we did. It already gave us our score and how many attempts. Remember, you have a total of 3 attempts. We can view our submissions, and when we do that, we can get information about what's right, what's wrong. Look at this. We didn't get a perfect 100, so there's something that we can look at that can show us what we did right and what we did wrong. And so we clicked that, and it gave us some feedback. And let's see where our mistake was. It looks like right here. And so I5, we did not calculate the gross corporate revenue for the first workshop by multiplying the cost by attendee. So it gave us partial credit, which is good. And now we know where we could fix it. If we wanted to, we could recorrect cell I5 and resubmit for grading. It's also saying we missed percent style on F5 to F8. But otherwise, we did a pretty good job. A's and B's get degrees. I'm happy, guys. Let's move on. Thanks for working with us today.